America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. I love to just cut through the bullshit. I love to speak plain. That's probably why I was not a very successful politician back in the day. Just tell you what I think. Just give you the straight poop, man. I didn't want to impress you with flowery language. I didn't want to impress you, period. I didn't want to say things that I knew I thought you might like. None of that with me. I just give it to me. What do you think? Tell me what's going on. Tell me why. And to speak really plainly right now, and again, I say this as somebody who's only been a Democrat for 8 weeks. Hello, Kiko. But we Democrats have a really easy, straight forward, plain talking, cut through the bullshit political message next year in 2026. And it goes like this. Donald Trump and Republicans are making everything more expensive. And Donald Trump and Republicans are really fucking cruel. They're cruel. Everything you buy because of Trump and Republicans, this is the bottom line. This is what Democrats will be in a position to say next year because it's true. It's already panning out. Just plain talking. Trump and Republicans are making everything more expensive. Everything you buy more expensive. And man, what Trump and Republicans are doing on our streets when it comes to immigrants in this country, that's not what America is. We're not that cruel. We want to defend our borders, but we're not that cruel. We're a sovereign nation, but man, we're not a cruel nation. I mean, that's it. That's it. Because of Trump, your automobile is going to be more expensive. It already is. The price of eggs is going to be more expensive. It already is. The price of meat will be more expensive. It already is. The price of coffee you buy is more expensive. It already is. The price of everything that the American people buy next year is going to be a lot more expensive because of Trump's stupid tariffs. And not to mention Trump's deportations. That's a simple message that even my new political party can't screw up. Because of Trump and Republicans, you're paying more for everything. Dang nation, because of Trump and Republicans, American people, you've had a big old tax increase put on your head. This is a really easy thing, should be a really easy thing for Democrats to convey next year, even before they get into how damn cruel Republicans are. These tariffs, again, Trump's in Scotland trying to get away from the Epstein files, playing golf, cheating on the golf course. Trump cheats at everything. But Trump's in Scotland playing a lot of golf because he doesn't want to have to deal with the Epstein files. And while there, he announced a big trade deal with Japan and then a big trade deal yesterday with the EU. And again, like with everything with Trump, you really can't believe anything he says. I mean, his big trade deal with Japan, he announced a couple days ago, Japan said there's no deal. There's nothing in writing. The 550 billion that Japan is supposedly going to invest in America, it's all maybe loans. There's no trade deal with Japan. Japan said 2 days after Trump said, I got a big trade deal with Japan. So you never know what to believe with Trump because he lies every time he opens his mouth. Same thing applies here to these trade deals. I mean, we've had 6.5 months of utter chaos, and that doesn't get talked about enough. Forget about big fucking corporations for a moment. Small businessmen and women in America, man, they're up against it. Every day and every week, their heads are spinning. They've been spinning with this utterly incompetent, chaotic tariff thing that Trump's been doing. Tariffs are on, tariffs are off. Tariffs are on, tariffs are off. Big, big, big tariffs are threatened. Big, big, big threatened tariffs are taken back. Maybe tariffs at this rate? No, how about tariffs at this rate? Tariffs are back on. Trump's mad. Nope, everything's forgiven. Tariffs are off. Again, forget about big fucking corporations. Small businessmen and women in America have been living in this business climate the last 6 months, and they're getting pounded just because of the sheer chaos, instability. And those of you listening to me, even those of you who are MAGA listening to me, you small business owners, howdy from Georgia, Pam, you get it, right? You know that this is no way to run a business. You know you can't run a small business if you import a lot of stuff from abroad, and every day and every week Trump changes his mind on tariffs. You know that makes it really hard to run a business. But there was Trump out there again yesterday talking about the big trade deal with the EU. Again, don't know what to believe. Just look at Japan. But I think it was, a month and a half ago, after Liberation Day, when Trump threatened something like 50% tariffs on the EU on everything that we import from European Union countries. And then it got dropped down to 35. And then Trump threatened it to be way, way higher. And yesterday he announced some 15% new tariff deal with the EU. Look, here's the deal. If it's 15% or 25% or 30%, whatever the percent is, you and I are paying for that. That tariff you and I pay for. Trump, and he's got that dude Lutnick out there, right? Talking about, oh my God, look at what China's paying us. Look at what Japan agreed to pay us. Look at what the EU will pay us. No, the American consumers are going to pay you that. American government. American businesses are going to pay that and pass it on to you and me. Even Lutnick was on yesterday, I think, and he talked about the trade deal with the EU, and he talked about the billions and billions in tax revenues Trump's tariffs will bring in. Tax revenues. I think he accidentally said that. I don't think Lutnick meant to say that, because by saying tax revenues coming into our government, he's talking about tax increases on us. That's coming from us. Even Fox News. Well, at least, Bill, you called me a skinny-faced Epstein lookalike. A lot of people say I look like Epstein. He's dead now. I don't think I look like a dead Epstein. A lot of people say I look like Epstein when Epstein was alive. No, way better looking. Even Fox News. is having a hard time spinning Trump's tariffs. A show, I think this morning, I think it was on Fox and Friends, Brian Kilmeade, he had on a guy, Charles Gasparino, business analyst. They were talking about Trump's big new trade deal with the EU, especially these tariffs on steel. Steel. Let's play that one, Keith, if you got it.
On that. So, Charlie, I hear you, but it's hard for me to think that this is the type of deal that would have been done in his first term, because between the whole Russia thing and people not taking him seriously, I think if you look at where we were in April and then see what's coming from Indonesia to the Philippines, now the Japan, Vietnam, and now the EU, I think he's pretty much defying almost all of his critics that he didn't have a plan. What about this? 50% tariff on EU steel and aluminum. The big picture there, how is that going to affect all of us?
Well, it's going to, theoretically, if we need to buy steel from them, it's going to cost us more. I mean, again, Brian, you kind of put this in context. Every penny we get from them is being passed to the U.S. consumer. So remember that.
Not necessarily, right? It's got to be the choice.
Oh, yes, necessarily.
You can get it because if the company buys it, they can set the price.
Some companies will eat it for now,
and they have
but at some point, so far. But remember, companies don't report to the president; they report to shareholders, and they have a fiduciary responsibility.
We can stop there, Keith. Thank you. That went on for a little bit. Brian Kilmeade looked like he lost his dog there, but Charlie, it's not automatic that we're going to pay for the 50% tariff on steel. There's Charles Gasparino on Fox News. He's asked, the 50% tariffs on steel, on EU steel that Trump laid down. Good thing, great thing. What's going to happen with that, Charlie? And Charlie says what everybody with a brain will say, we're going to pay for that. That means that means the steel we buy from the EU is going to be at least 50% more expensive. We pay for it. We're paying for it. Our companies are paying for it. Our consumers are paying for it. Everything in America that has anything to do with steel, that uses steel in anything they make, produce, and distribute, we're paying for. Oh my God, from the mouths of babes, there's Fox News acknowledging, like, this notion you're going to make steel 50% more expensive, all steel coming in from the EU. We're going to make it 50% more expensive. Well, who's paying for that? We are. We are. And by the way, we saw last week, what was it? Trump put a 25% tariff on steel, I think, from the UK. And already the two biggest American steel manufacturers increased their prices 24%. And every consumer in America, again, using steel for anything, if there's steel in anything they buy, they're paying 24, 25% more for that, now 50% more for that. Tax increases. Again, Democrats, my fellow Democrats, Donald Trump's stupid tariffs. And by the way, MAGA, all MAGA that is applauding what Trump's doing, and I hear from them all the time, Joe, Trump's getting tough with the rest of the world. I don't know what that means. The rest of the world laughs at him because he changes his mind and caves every day. But look, MAGA owned this. If you want to applaud Trump's tariffs, by all means do, but you have to own what they are. They're tax increases on us. We pay for them. This notion that $250 billion in additional revenue has come in the first 6 months of the Trump administration from his tariffs. You know what that is, right? That's tax revenue on the American people. That's what that is. Lutnick acknowledged it. These are new tax revenues. Tariff revenues are tax revenues on us. MAGA, you just got to own it. Do your damnedest, MAGA, to be consistent. Say, I love tariffs. And if you say that, then say, I love tax increases. Then MAGA, if you say that, bend the fuck over, bend over and say, thank you, dear Donald, give me another. Make everything I buy more expensive. Make that truck I want to buy more expensive. Make the coffee I drink more expensive. Excuse me, sir, give me another. Just be consistent, MAGA. And again, though, caution, everything I'm saying right now, we ain't seen anything in writing. Japan denied the deal that Trump said he made with them. This is just the EU deal that Trump announced yesterday. We don't know what's real. But what we do know is real is if there is a 50% tariff on steel coming from Europe, that means everything we buy in this country, beginning now, that uses steel at all, will be a hell of a lot more expensive. We pay for this. Tariffs are on us. They are a tax increase on us. You may want that, but just acknowledge what it is. That's half the message, Democrats. Because of Trump, everything I'm fucking buying is more expensive. Because of Donald Trump and Republicans, everything I'm buying, my God, every American will say this next year, everything I'm buying is more expensive. That's half the message. The other message is this isn't who we are. We're not this cruel. We are not a cruel nation. We're a tough nation. We're a kick-ass nation. We're a rule of law nation. But we are not a cruel nation. America is not cruel. We've never been cruel. We've had incidents of cruelty throughout our history. At our core, we are not a cruel people. Trump's cruel. This is a cruel period we're going through right now. Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace, South Carolina Congresswoman. She's going to run for governor of South Carolina. She'll announce that any day. Nancy Mace was on one of the Fox shows yesterday, and she talked about how much she just loved. I mean, loved. Listen to her in a minute. She just loves watching YouTube clips of immigrants appearing in court for their court hearings and getting nabbed and swept away by ICE. Nancy just loves watching these YouTube clips. Here she is.
New sheriff in town, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube these days are the court hearings where illegals are in court and ICE shows up to drag them out of court and deport them. I can think of nothing more American today than keeping our streets safer by getting those violent criminals out of the United States of America.
Thank you, Keith. One of my most favorite things to watch, she said. She just loves getting home late at night, putting her laptop down in front of her and watching these YouTube clips of immigrants appearing in court and getting nabbed by ICE. Getting off on Nancy Mace, getting off on immigrants appearing in court for their court hearings, getting grabbed and disappeared by ICE. Getting off on that, on those YouTube clips of that, that's twisted and cruel. Make no mistake about it. But understand this, Nancy Mace knows exactly who she's talking to. She's running for governor of South Carolina. She's got to win herself a Republican primary. She's talking to Republican base voters. Man, I'll tell you, Republican base voters get off on this cruelty. They love it. They get off on this cruelty. Nancy, that's the bigger problem. It's not Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is just one of these Republican performative artists. She's speaking to the Republican Party base, and they get off on this cruelty. And by the way, it is cruelty because think about what Nancy Mace said there, what she gets off on watching. Immigrant YouTube clips of immigrants appearing in court. Stop for a moment. So she's watching clips of immigrants doing what they're supposed to do, appearing for their court hearings to get their asylum claim adjudicated, to get their temporary order, protective order dealt with, to get processed. So immigrants, think about what Nancy Mace gets off on. Watching immigrants do the right thing, do what they're supposed to do, appear in court. Remember, it's one thing we talked about if you're ICE and you're going to go grab violent criminals who are in this country illegally, man, we'd all get off on watching that. But if you get off on watching immigrants grabbed in Home Depot parking lots, like just day laborers, just trying to put in a decent day's work, if you get off on that, if you find that hilarious, again, that's twisted and cruel. If you get off on watching immigrant women grabbed in hospitals, that's cruel. You got a problem. But if you're like Nancy Mace and you get off on watching immigrants who actually are doing what our government told them to do, take your paperwork and appear in court for your hearing, and ICE comes in and grabs them and disappears them when they did what we told them to do, they did the right thing. Man, if you fucking get off on watching that, YouTube clips of that, you are twisted. You are cruel. I don't, Nancy Mace is a fucking nut job. I don't know what she believes in her head and her heart. She's like a lot of these Republican, Trumpy kind of grifters, performers these days. But Nancy Mace is no dummy. She's going to come out and announce in the next 2 days that she's running for governor of South Carolina. And man, she wants to just chant to win. Man, the Republican Party base has got to vote for her. She wants to channel the Republican Party base. So all she's going to do is talk about transgender women, men playing sports with women. And she's going to talk about illegals getting grabbed everywhere. Man, look what we're doing. We're grabbing illegals everywhere. She's going to talk. That's who she's talking to because Nancy Mace knows. That sadly, the cruelty, just the abject cruelty, plays big time with today's Republican Party base. But it doesn't play with most Americans, which is why I've always said that this issue of cruelty, again, my fellow Democrats, take the issue of everything costs more because of Trump, everything costs more, and this issue of cruelty, man, most Americans are not cruel. I'll stake my bank account on that, and I don't have a lot in my bank account. Most Americans want the border defended, want our broken immigration system fixed, and most Americans believe if you're in this country illegally and you're a violent criminal, get the hell out. But most Americans don't think it's right for ICE to grab immigrants who are not criminals, off of Home Depot parking lots and 7-Eleven parking lots and farms and restaurants and daycare centers and hospitals and courthouses. Most Americans, man, most Americans would not get off like Nancy Mace and the Republican Party base. Most Americans wouldn't get off on watching YouTube clips of immigrants grabbed at their court hearings. Most Americans want our laws followed, but they don't want to embrace that cruelty. That's not who we are. Immigrants who are not criminals, immigrants who have no records, immigrants who went to court to get their case adjudicated, and our government grabs them after our government told them to show up. Think about that. Our government grabs them after our government told them to show up for their court hearing. Most Americans don't support that. Most Americans, I'm not talking about MAGA. I think almost all MAGA loves it, which is why Mace says what she says. But not most Americans. Most Americans do not approve of the ugly, dark, fearful, extreme place that Donald Trump has taken our immigration enforcement. And Democrats, you got to have the fight. You got to have the giddy up. You got to have the balls, my fellow Democrats, to speak this way, to say this. This is not who we are. This must not be who we are. Defend our border, fix the system, get all of that, man. Totally get all of that. If you're an illegal and you got a violent criminal record, man, pick you up, throw you out of this country. But stop with this hiding out in Home Depot parking lots and hospitals and courthouses. That's not who we are. Cruelty. Prove me wrong, MAGA, but most Americans are not cruel. Hey, one quick final thought. I'm 8 weeks into being a Democrat. I became a Democrat 8 weeks ago. Time flies. I just want to make this one point. And by the way, in my Substack tomorrow, going to give you a little 8-week update. Kind of on things I've learned, good, bad, and ugly about being a Democrat so far. That'll be in our Substack tomorrow. If you're not subscribed to our Substack, you need to subscribe to our Substack, Social Contract with joewalsh.substack.com, and subscribe. We'll have that Substack for you tomorrow, Tuesday. But just this one point now. In the 8 weeks, thank you, Keith. In the 8 weeks that I've been a Democrat, I've been asked this question every single day by a bunch of people every day. Joe, why the hell are you a Democrat? You're out of step with Democrats on most issues, on the issues. I get that question multiple times every day. Joe, why the hell did you become a Democrat? You're out of step with Democrats, Joe, on the issues. I get that question every day. And I give this answer every day. I give an answer just like this every day. Out of step? You say that I'm out of step with Democrats on most issues. Well, I know for a fact that I'm really out of step with my former political party, the Republican Party, on kind of like the basic things like freedom and democracy and the Constitution and the rule of law and pluralism and just basic human decency. I'm way out of step with the Republican Party on those things. In fact, my former party fully embraces a tyrant in the White House. I'm way out of step with that. Now, it's true, I tell these people who ask me why I'm a Democrat, why I became a Democrat. It's true, I acknowledge. I've got policy differences with most Dems on a bunch of issues. Issues like Israel, I'm very pro-Israel. Israel like gun rights, I'm very pro-gun rights. Israel like balancing the federal budget, I'm very balanced the federal budget. I've got policy differences. You've got me. You got me, guys. I have policy differences on a bunch of issues with the Democrats. But see, here's the thing. I believe, remember, like I said, my former political party is out of step on the real basics: democracy, freedom, the Constitution, the rule of law, pluralism, and basic human decency. Like right now, the Republican Party is a genuine threat to democracy. And I became a Democrat to help the Democratic Party defeat my former political party and help preserve democracy. That's why I became a Democrat. The policy differences, Israel, forgiving student loans, all the rest, we'll have time down the road to work out and work on those differences. But right now, I just want to do all I can to help save this democracy. That's why I became a Democrat. And I'll get that question a bunch more today. Joe, why did you become a Democrat? You don't agree with Democrats on anything. Well, I do, actually. I agree with Democrats on freedom, democracy, the Constitution, the rule of law, pluralism, and basic human decency. I do. I agree with Democrats on much more than you think. But if you want to nail me on specific policy issues, I can't disagree with you. It's just that specific policy issues right now, when it comes to the question of MAGA, I'll go slow. When it comes to the question of, will this experiment in democracy even survive? Like, I think we face that right now. That question's out there right now. Will American democracy survive? So if that's the question out there right now, if that's the big deal right in front of us right now, I'm not really going to get all bent out of shape if me and my fellow Democrat disagree on whether we should forgive student loan debt. You follow me? Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. God bless you all. Hope your week is off to a good start. Shoot me an email about anything. thesocialcontractwithjoewalsh@gmail.com. All one word. thesocialcontractwithjoewalsh@gmail.com. Make it a good week. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.